Alright, so we're here with the milk.
What's up? I'm DM Shred, motherfucker. This is
The milk commander.
We just worked out, so we're drinking milk because it's full of that good, wholesome yum-yums.
So what do you think about
We're here to break it down for people who are newer to metal and are really confused at what separates or personifies death metal opposed to black metal.
death metal versus black metal? What's better?
Your Morbid Angel to your Catharsis. So
and we were actually talking too.
We were talking about this earlier, but bottom line is, in the early inception of these genres, they're very, very, very similar, and there's just the nuances, the subtleties that differentiate each genre, but it was enough to really place them apart, and we're hoping to bring light to that for people who are newer to the genres.
Or bring darkness to it.
Or bring darkness to it, because it's all about my heart. Being morbid.
Bro,
are you morbid? I am
That's
morbid.
how we should start every video. Cheers, milk.
Are you morbid?
Okay, so musically, differences between black metal and death metal. I would say that death metal is more based around aggression and brutality and the riff structure, where black metal isn't so much on the musicianship as much as the atmosphere that you create. Like, you know, like they use like a lot of samples or like piano and organ, which death metal has too, like bands like Morbid Angel, but I would say it's more atmosphere heavy or like darkness.
If you were to put on either a black metal album or a death metal album back in the day, what they really had in common at the bat was they had an intro song. You don't find that much with modern bands anymore, but black metal band, you'd have almost every single album, it seemed. Well, that's just exaggerating, but so many albums, it's like 3 minutes of just like whatever's drawing you in. But it's like a horror movie. You're just like looking at the screen.
Bro, you're taking my light. They don't even think I left.
So black metal would have that intro to draw you in and fuck with you, where death metal would have like a minute and a half intro, and then it would be kind of more brutal.
Bro, your intro's not long enough, not black metal.
You had the first wave, which was old school heavy metal, Venom, Merciful Fate,
Celtic Frost,
onto Hellhammer, Celtic Frost. That was quite different from what we're referring to when we're differentiating between black metal and death metal. We're talking more second wave.
Some people might have got mad that we said Celtic Frost and not...
I say Celtic.
I know some people say Celtic Frost.
That's because they're illiterate.
You heard it here first.
Or we're fucking
and then
ignorant.
Tom Warrior's gonna come on here and be like, "You're fucking stupid."
No,
wow.
No, he'll go, "Ooh,
cherry orchards. Ugh.
Your show sucks." Ooh, ooh.
But yeah.
Oh. That's my horrible. Second wave black metal is what we're more referencing, because that was kind of what the first video said, where Altars of Madness tour when Morbid Angel played Sweden. Second wave Norway exploded, because as much as they were slowly meddling and doing what they were doing within their small circles,
they didn't have anything that fast and that
they didn't have anything close to that fucking crazy. So that
they had the evilness, but not the
not the ferocious blistering speeds. As Altars came out, black metal emerged, and they kind of went completely different paths. As much as they're very, very similar, and you had Burzum, Mayhem, Dark Throne. Dark Throne is a weird one. We'll get back to Dark Throne, but Gorgoroth. Those bands were kind of that example of innovation of second wave Norway, whereas the death metal of Florida and eventually Sweden, Finland in 91.
And also most death metal bands that aren't Morbid Angel tend to go a bit more gore path, especially...
Of course. But there's a lot of satanic death metal too. But also
Mayhem with Chainsaw Guts Fuck and shit like that, you know what I mean? So Mayhem was kind of experimenting with the same shit.
Yeah, but I mean, the major subtleties that stand out are the vocal differences. You have a lot of satanic death metal as you do black metal, that's more lo-fi recordings were preferred obviously by Norway and created thousands of copycats recording horrible recordings, just trying to sound cult and all that stuff that we all know. Whereas death metal was more refined. They wanted to capture the rawness but also exhibit the musicianship, have more dynamics in the songwriting. Well, yeah, leads. Black metal was all about like a completely different aesthetic to
almost
the music.
Like hardcore punk, almost. You know?
It more
like just going for it. You know what I mean? Instead
the
of
attitude. It was more really what they're trying to do to the listener. Whereas, like you're referring black metal being punk based.
Mm-hmm. Whereas death metal was
a bit more thrash, which was also taken from punk because thrash got speed from punk.
Yeah.
So easily contexts get very misconstrued and really confusing. And Dark Throne first album
Journey
is death metal,
yeah.
and they did it better than most bands around. And then they innovated, and then when bands were trying to capture on that, they kept innovating.
Well, apparently he fucking went to fucking what's his face from Mayhem.
Anonymous.
Yeah, he went to. They're like hanging out with fucking Varg and shit. This is from like Varg on his own channel or whatever on YouTube.
So it's Varg's perspective on how to.
And he said that they came over and they had this brand. They were the first of those bands on a record label. So they were like really fucking proud of this. Him and Euronymous were hanging out, and then the guys from Dark Throne came over with their new album Soulside Journey, and they were dressed in like fucking track pants and like just like a shirt and stuff, just like dressed like normal every day.
Yeah.
And that they came in and Euronymous was just like tearing them down, like, you guys play this is death metal, fucking bullshit, blah blah blah, we're supposed to be black metal. And he was like, the way you guys dress, fucking bullshit, blah 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 blah. And then they really took that to heart and like almost left in tears, and like fucking Varg drove them home. And then that's when they kind of changed their fucking image and kind of went more black metal. But
and they wore jogging pants and looked like these typical trendy death metalers at the time. And Euronymous told them what he meant, and he really butchered them. This is not how metal people are supposed to look, and he gave them this metal preach, so to speak.
That's just what Varg said. I don't know if we should believe everything he says, but
no, you shouldn't. But he was there, and his perspective is just as important as anyone else that was in that.
His channel is actually very interesting.
Very small.
I'm not even much of like a Burzum guy, but just his channel, just about only the black metal stuff. I don't watch any of the other.
Anybody who can perform every instrument on their albums is pretty talented, no matter what you play.
He's definitely an intelligent guy. He has fucking things to say. He might not be all there in all ways, and I don't agree with him and everything, but interesting stuff. But yeah, so there was definitely that, like just I was talking, the fucking image of death metal versus black metal. Like a band like Morbid Angel's kind of like.
They were a lot about the image too.
Yeah. They had like more of a black metal image with like blood and. Whereas like a band like Cannibal Corpse are all in like fucking jerseys and like sweatshirts and fucking like whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's like
Morbid Angel was most definitely very image oriented, whereas
which I enjoy.
But then there's a whole personified image of the Florida scene. It just wasn't at the satanic level because they weren't. A lot of those bands weren't satanic.
Like a guy like Chuck, like he's just gonna come on a shirt, like
Well,
like a band
Chuck's
shirt,
a whole
like a Manowar shirt.
We could have 5 videos on Chuck.
Yeah.
Because, as I was describing with Dark Throne after Soulside, every album they're just kind of a step or two ahead of everyone in their own way. Chuck did gore the first 2 albums, and then when everyone caught on spiritual healing and even political issues and humanity,
I would say he was even toning back on the gore by Leprosy time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Like the album's a little bit gory, but
well, he had Left to Die, War, and and different things, but after everyone caught on, he did spiritual healing, and then by the time people were doing topics like spiritual healing, he was doing human, and he was doing philosophy, and a lot of death metal dudes, that was kind of turning his back on the gore and the actual nuts and bolts of death metal, the meat and potatoes, if you will. which is what death metal's about. It's brutal music. It's gonna have horrible content. That's what it's about. And yet Chuck brought a whole new light, and used his own experiences dealing with horrible people and the psychology and philosophies.
The autopsy guys.
Well, the misanthropic lyrics that he has, and that created some of the best music to me. Human, individual, symbolic, all that shit. But to a lot of diehard death metal dudes, that was not what they wanted to hear when they put on a death metal album. They don't want to hear jealousy and all this like weird shit. You're like, wow, you're fucked, you know, like. But it's amazing music. So not to get too far away.
Yeah. Or like even like a band like
from what we're talking about.
Like look at like Deicide is total anti-Christian, like all the way fucking through their entire discography. And Glenn Benton, in his interviews, he's always like, no, we're a black metal band. I don't know why everyone calls us death metal.
I don't really consider us so much death as I do black and satanic, because all my lyrics are about Satan and worshiping Satan and my own personal experiences and where I'm going. So as far as death, I couldn't generalize our music by saying it's just death.
That's like, bro, that's fucking death metal.
I haven't really kept up on a lot of the interviews of him.
He just always talks.
Can't stand him.
Dude,
see him talking.
Probably run a couple things. Just old Glenn Benton interviews are so fucking funny. He's like, gee. He's like, the devil is my father. We are fucking like, he's my dad. Like,
baby pancake.
or like we were fucking that documentary, The Stench of Redemption or whatever. He's just like riding his motorbike. He's like,
Took my chapel cross that I had and I fastened it onto a piece of coat hanger and then heated it up in a candle and stuck it in my head. I said, damn, that fucking hurt.
powerlifting skinheads or whatever on the back of the shirts.
They said powerlifting?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.